can we really argue a call out of 10 big blind stack?
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I would agree. There's Hey, Yanni's got some more red chips.
One of our producers, by the way, is pointing out something amazing here. Here we have a 10K high roller full of, let's just call them all professionals, quote-unquote professionals. How many sunglasses we see at this table?
I'm thinking 0.
None.
Not one pair of sunglasses. Then we go back to our main event table full of a bunch of amateurs.
I count at least 5, and I can't see the 9 seat.
And Hellbig, for all we know, he may want to be wearing sunglasses, but just forgot his prescription shades at home.
No, there's 6. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So you've got 6, and like you said, somebody who needs prescription glasses. Actually, speaking of the sunglasses and reminding people to be careful, I had a dealer come to me and asked me what the etiquette was. A player at his table had sat down with mirrored sunglasses, took them off and put them in his shirt, you know, like how you stick the one arm of the glasses into your shirt, and was showing at least the dealer and probably the one in the 9 seat his cards every time he peeled them, because the reflective lenses were showing his whole cards.
Well, the etiquette's you tell the guy, right?
Well, the dealer asked me, what do you do? And I said, I would not bring it to anyone's attention at the table, but when you're pushed out, you tap the player on the shoulder and ask him to step away, and you say, sir, you should be aware that you're exposing your cards when you look at them.
Guys.
Yeah.
Blinds now up, of course, to 5,100.
Yep.
We've had an early position raise from Daniel Gate Padoon, and Aliev has flatted from the small blind out of a 9 big blind stack.
Less of an argument for this. Much less of an argument. This one I'm sure about. You're not supposed to do this.
Queen 10-9 rainbow. Aliev
We knew
checks.
a check was coming, right?
There's always one, though. Isn't there, James? Isn't there always one guy that plays this way, at least?
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this. It's hard. It's hard to make those moves, to fold, and when you've got money invested, and to shove, and you're supposed to shove any two, and blah, blah, blah. It's hard to do.
And you never know, like, where he is. Like, you don't know his backstory. We don't know what kind of a player he is. We don't know. This could be the biggest moment, essentially, where he's ever been.
It is the biggest moment he's ever been.
21,000 could be massive to move from 55.
He won a live satellite.
He's one of the live sat winners here in Berlin.
No, he did not satellite. He won a live satellite, and the only sanctioned legally to play in casino in Russia, he won a satellite.
There's the all-in.
Check raising all in.
He gets a
It's
fold.
a really fast fold.
Well, you see,
how much does he have? He's got 2.5
million. When he checks,
million.
though, you're going to bet every time, no matter what.
But now he looks like a genius because he's managed to chip up to nearly 1.5 million.
I don't know if he looks like a genius.
I have to admit I'm a little confused. What? I mean, Padoon had what? He had 2.5 at the start of that hand? He bets 170. It's 600K more to call. I mean, I guess.
I think Alex is trolling me now. I disagree, Staves. Aliev can 3-bet fold here.
Aren't you supposed to say heads up for rolls at that point in time or something?
I've never said that phrase, and I never will. I will say the really cool thing about the fact that we've got all these sunglasses is this is 9 guys, except for Padoon, who bubbled this exact spot last year.
You're kidding.
Not last year, excuse me, 2011. These are 9 guys who are in the biggest stage they've ever been on their lives, and that's what's awesome about poker. Several of these guys satelliting in. We got an online qualifier, a live satellite winner. This is why people play the game, so they can be the cool guy at the table with their sunglasses.
Well, this
playing
is
for 880,000 euros.
This is life-changing money. Every time the EPT sits down at a final table, it's life-changing money on the line.
Absolutely.
And
which is why I do have some time for these guys.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, everybody laughs and jokes and says, "Oh my God, when's this going to be over?" But the whole point is, I mean, you're happy to sit here. This is, as you say, it's so interesting. I think back to
by you mean them, but yes.
I sit and listen and watch. I can't go home till it's over either. But you think of Romanello winning in Prague and essentially bursting into tears because it was he was close to quitting poker at the time because he just hadn't had very good results, and that was a life-changing moment for him to finally get that title and get that money.
This will absolutely be a life-changing day tomorrow for one of the guys at this table. hands down.
Assured, guaranteed.
Maybe all of them.
Yeah. And you never know who it's going to change life for. I saw during the dinner break you guys were showing a lot of interviews, and they interviewed Elke about 2008 and winning the PCA and moving through that tremendous year he had of winning the WPT and the WPT Player of the Year, come back the next year winning the high roller at PCA. And, you know, is there a run like Elke or So Sick, you know, if he doesn't bink the PCA in 2008?
Defo not.
There'd just be a couple of people commentating on StarCraft right now saying how sick he was.
Roman Harold has raised here. Roman Koronev has put his shades on.
All right, Corey Hart. Let's figure it out.
So it's a min plus raised to 205,000.
That looks like 440, I think.
We have an all-in and a call at the high roller final table. But we may end up having an all-in and a call at this table.
445. And the kind of surprising thing is, you know, you look and you say, oh, it's 4 million to 3 million, but because of the way the play has gone on, that's only 40 bigs against 30 bigs.
Yeah. Chip leader Lasse Frost in the big blind will fold. Action back on Roman.
Hey, Roman. Robo. Romanski. And then all in at the high roller. James Mitchell doubled up.
Thank you, Claw, for that picture. That's absolutely fantastic.
If you guys aren't following the conversation at hashtag EPT Live, you should. Check out Wrong Town Claws. Latest photo.
I just
Shop
retweeted
jobby.
it.
There
Yeah.
you go.
It was tweeted yesterday as well, but as he says, it's appropriate now more than ever.
And Roman lets it go.
I'm going to be finding that picture later. And now I have a new background for my desktop, I think.
Todd Hawkins says, have to say I can't stand how long the final table bubble is taking, but I can't seem to pull myself away till it's over, and good luck to all of these guys. And Alex Knight says, I don't see why everyone wants Aliyev to bust. I'm enjoying the stream. I'm hoping Aliyev takes the chip lead before the end of play today.
Yeah, I don't specifically want. I think in the conversation, people are sort of.
Yeah, we don't
wishing
actually.
it
I don't think
bust.
we care. We don't really want any of them to bust. We just know that 8 more of them have to before we can go home. That actually happened. Was that the PCA this year where the chip leader 9-handed ended up going out 9th? I know it happened really recently.
It did.
Oh, Ryan, what's his name?
Ryan Fair.
Yeah, you never really know what's going to happen as it moves through at this. So maybe you'll get your wish, and Aliyev will be the chip leader.
Dave says Neil J is an interesting bloke to have in the booth. Listening to you three chat is making this time pass.
Thank you very much, sir.
Looks like we've had a raise from The Hague.
Yeah, our chip leader now is only 44 bigs. That actually feels that might slow some of these guys down even further because they're not, I mean, it's one thing to fool around when you're at 50, 60 bigs deep, but now that everybo's 25 to 35
Yeah,
bigs
absolutely. I don't see anyone just sort of deciding to be table captain all of a sudden now that they're even shallower.
deep. Yeah, well, the only all-in and call we've had since we got here was the ace-king against queens, right? Or has there been another one?
Nate's written in to say, "Hey, Staves, I'm watching old EPT live and in EPT 8 episode 2 at 6 minutes 20 seconds. Why is that not a string bet / raise? Chips over the line and then pulled back." Nate, I have no idea, dude. I have no idea what happened in EPT 8 episode 2 at 6 minutes 20 seconds.
I thought you had an encyclopedic
I don't know what
knowledge.
happened 6 minutes 20 seconds ago.
Raise and take it.
Well, that wasn't a string bet at all. Sorry, Nate. Couldn't help you. Can anyone else help Nate out? This must be like what William Shatner goes through.
One of the greatest Saturday Night Live
Yeah.
bits of all time.
Excuse me, in episode 7, when you were talking about...
Something to do with the safe, like the combination of the safe.
Yeah, what was the combination of this safe and your quarters? Get a life, people.
That's right. Get laid, find a girl, something like that. The greatest, one of the greatest Saturday Night Live bits.
How many horses
ever.
do you have in your horse farm? Well, 7. Is that including the foal that was born yesterday? Well, I guess it's 8. I like that you're watching the shows, Nate. I'm sorry. I just don't know. Kornev raising this hand fairly early. Actions on our old pal Aliev.
Yeah, if there is high roller to go tomorrow, it will be moved down near the webcast, so you guys can get some good bonus footage of the high roller. I mean, there's 8 of them left now, and it's what 10:45, so they'll probably
Neil
play at least
Johnson,
another hour and a
everybody.
half.
Time for Neil to take off for the night.
Okay, I'll see you later. This has been fun. Goodbye, everybody.
Aliev 3 betting. I was just kidding, Neil. But we're not doing high roller coverage after this.
No, I meant tomorrow during the webcast.
Oh, tomorrow.
They would be able to see the high roller. We could spin the
sure.
camera.
Okay, yeah, fine. I misunderstood.
That's all right. It happens.
Frost folds his button.
Got through the blinds. Back to Koronev.
Aliev's been playing, you know, so tight, just calling, not 3-betting at all. I just don't know what you can possibly call him with or 4-bet him with.
It looks like he's pulling chips out.
I have to say, I agree with Ian Bradley on Twitter. This would have been finished long ago if Anderson had made it through to the final 9.
Well, he called, so we're going to see a flop here between Aliev and Koronev.
Okay.
Well, that's an interesting flop. King 10-9, all diamonds.
I guarantee you, by the way, that if this was a televised event and we were making a TV show out of today, 9-handed play, 1 hand. That's all you'd have to put up with. We would condense 4 hours into 2 minutes.
Looks like Aliev's going to continue.
It's like 280, 285.
And
that was a quick fold.
He's going to win this pot. Who's a
Kinda
short stack?
Kind of got to tip your hat to Aliev at this point in time.
Definitely. Whatever he's doing, it's working. You can't argue with results.
And he's no longer the shorty, is he?
He's now got more than 2 million. He's now got more than 20 big blinds. Julian Thomas is now the short stack.
No, actually, Padoon.
Oh, man,
wow.
this will be so brutal. Honestly, I do not want that guy to go out in 9th place. Padoon.
Wait, this is the guy you said came 9th 2 years ago when Kevin, or when Ben won, when Wilanowski won. I'm not allowed to say Kevin anymore.
Yeah, that would just be so brutal. Oh, that would be so gross.
Chris McFadden says, almost single-figure payouts in the free roll. I bet we get to the final table of that before the bubble bursts at EPT Berlin.
They're almost into the dollars?
Yeah.
Sick. Life-changing money.
What's first prize in our free roll tonight?
It's normally around $150 odd.
That's pretty good. It's more than we're making sitting here. So, well, I don't know. Are either of you still in the free roll?
Nope.
Too soon?
I'm over it. Barely.
I'd actually forgotten I'd even played it.
Now, see, maybe you could be a touring poker player. You forget the old tournament just as soon as you sit down to the new one, right?
It's not bad for a zero investment.
Water off a duck's back for Hardigan.
Padoon raising, small to big.
Mark makes a valid point. We've been advertising all day that today we play down to the final table. Says today they're going to have to hurry to do that because in an hour and 12 minutes it will be tomorrow.
It'll be today somewhere, though.
It will still happen on a today thing. Day person.
Update.
Looks like we're going to get a re-raise here from Harold out of in blind versus blind.
Ooh.
That looks like what, four and loose change?
Marin is mimicking what he's seen here at this unofficial final table, folding my 0.6 big blinds like a boss in order to get a 31-cent prize bump. He asks, nailed it? Marin, you nailed it.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Harold's basically put Padoon to a decision for his tournament life. And
yeah, he started the hand with just under 19 big blinds.
If you know this guy's backstory, you might think that he just doesn't want to go broke in 9th place again. But
he does not move all in.
Nope,
he just calls.
Just calls.
And that was 440, so he's in. That's 25% of his chips in the middle at this point.
Jack 8-6 with 2 clubs.
Padoon checks. You got to figure you're betting here like every time, right? Once it's checked to you.
I mean, you almost have to at this point in time.
I guess him raise flatting is, you'd think it's really, really strong though. So maybe you don't bet. I don't really know what to make of this.
Will one of these players ask the dealer to provide them with a red triangle?
You know, maybe the reason why you don't try to get it in is you try to get a little more out of the continuation bet.
Mm-hmm. That looks like what? Is it 3 this time? 3 and change, 340, 345? That's just over third.
Give him the triangle.
That was pretty quick as well.
Check raise all in. How are you feeling now, Roman?
I mean, he's repping really strong here. Queens are better.
mean, that's kind of the feel, because he just flats, and then he checks it off again so he can check raise it in.
I think the vast majority of the time it's a pocket pair.
This is probably not what you're doing with ace-jack. You're probably not even in there with ace-jack at that point in time, so.
You would think not. I don't know, though. Maybe he just thinks ace-jack is just going to be ahead so often.
If it's ace-jack of clubs, you're happy.
True dat, Hardigan.
Just wonder if he's flatting pre the 3-bet with ace-jack.
Yeah, I mean, it would. You would guess. That's what I'm saying. I think it's a pocket pair almost
bigger
always.
than jacks. Yeah, it's got to be queens plus.
I don't think it always has to be that big, but I mean, I think it's a pocket pair almost.
Oh, here we go.
We have a call.
And Daniel Guy Puddin at
Good
risk.
call, Joe.
2 queens.
2 queens against ace something.
That's jack 4.
Wait, is that holy
jack
smokes?
4
It's jack
diamonds.
4. Queen jack.
Queen jack versus
Boy, were
jack
we
4.
wrong.
Wow. This is bizarre.
2 monsters?
Well, I guess this is why we sit on this side of the chairs.
I mean, how do you do that and then you still hit a pair? I mean, that's crazy. How often do you miss with queen jack? Doing it in good shape to double up. That's 7. Put some
5,
more outs
yeah.
out there.
A 4, a 5.
Those are the cards that would
Yep.
eliminate Daniel Guy Puddin.
She's got 7 outs.
Any other card, and he doubles up.
Yep.
Ooh.
Little tease.
So Daniel Guy Puddin doubles up, manages to not go broke in 9th again. This time, someone still has to go broke in 9th.
That essentially flips him and Harold around.
It does. He's up to 3.2 million. Harold now on 2.2 million. And it looks like Julian Thomas is now the low man at the table, playing 19 big blinds.
And I just,
Here we go.
You know, we here in the booth had no clue until they tabled their hands.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and say I don't think that's really our fault. I think that was fairly difficult.
I'm thinking if you'd had Elke or Eugene still here, you would not have called queen jack and jack 4.
I don't think so.
I say that with love and respect for Elke and Eugene.
Yes. Yes, I think. Whew, I think that pretty much anyone would have a hard time.
I mean, if you're Harold, I mean, obviously you're making a move pre to try and get him off his raise.
Yeah,
you have to see that because you hit a jack.
Yeah.
But, wow, that was an interesting turn of events.
The raise call with that stack with queen jack of spades, and somehow you hit top pair. I don't think I've ever hit a pair in my life with queen jack.
I thought it was king jack that was supposed to be trash. Is it queen jack?
It's all of it. I mean, whew.
But they were both suited.
They were both suited. If only I said he's going to have a pair here most of the time, or suited cards.
Well, at least we didn't try to guess Harold's cards, because then we would have looked really silly. I think Jack 4 suited would have been way down the line in the ranges that any of us would have put them on.
You know, and whatever, you know, we said he's going to have a pair here most of the time. Some of the time, he's going to have a hand like that. That's it.
It's a raise from our chip leader.
Lasse Frost, still the chip leader, raising to 200,000.
Ian writes in to say Queen Jack off has been the new kings and Queen Jack suited the new aces on stars for weeks. Keep up, guys.
I'm not allowed to play on Poker Stars, so I'm not able to.
You mean you don't just sit at home and rail the action, though, as an observer?
Unfortunately, not. I do all right in the staff tournaments on there. I do. I came second in one. I actually developed a rail. People were like, "Is this Neil J from 2+2?"
Wow.
I was like, "Yeah." Only time I'll ever have a rail because it's probably the only final table I'm ever going to make. But it was nice. I appreciated the sweat from all of our loyal players on PokerStars.
Something tells me you don't get as much abuse in the chat box as Joe does.
Players abuse Joe in the chat box?
It's been getting kind of nasty.
Shouldn't people? They shouldn't be that personal there, should they? Doesn't everybody love Stapes?
I think they prefer chop pots.
Not everybody.
But
Well, here's a question for you then, Neil. This is putting you on the spot.
oh boy.
What is the best and the worst thing about being the PokerStars rep on 2+2?
The best thing is probably the interaction with the players, really. Just being able to, it allows you to connect with a kind of, I lovingly call 2+2 the vocal minority. Because they represent a very significant cross-section of our players. But, we've got 300 qualifiers here in Berlin. So to say that the guys that post consistently on 2+2, represent our EPT players, well, it's certainly not the whole story. But you get some really good interaction, and you also usually get, like, up-to-the-minute stuff as far as what's happening. And if somebody notices, hey, this is wrong in the lobby, or, hey, we didn't, the hotel came in wrong, or this hasn't happened, I usually get kind of instant awareness of that. As far as the worst, probably the only thing I would say is either people who overestimate my power, and or simply the what would you say, the trying to assume that 2+2 answers everything. Stars has a number of reps on there because we consider it a very important part of our customer base, and we're all out there. But I find myself a number of times saying, hey, guys, email registrations at, email EPT at, email, because I feel bad. I'm not, it's one of my responsibilities. I can't be in there 24/7. So it might go a couple of days without being able to respond. And people are like, oh, my God, how do I get my wire there? And I'm like, well, email us. We have tons of staff who are willing to answer those questions. And all the people who email me who want to change start dates. Neil, can I please play 1B? I want to play the Sunday Million.
Alexis says, been away from my PC for 3 hours, surprised and happy you are still here.
Thanks a lot, Alexis.
Alexis, we're both surprised and happy as well. Don't let Stapes fool you.
So we're now more than half an hour into the 5100 level.
We're not as happy as the Russian broadcast team. Actually, guys, what's the name of the gentleman there in yellow?
That is Artem Litvinov.
That's right. We were having a lot of fun with him in the high roller.
He high-fived me on my way in here. I felt like a baller.
When I mentioned earlier that somebody coin flipped on Benny Spindler, and literally flipped a coin, that was him.
Oh, he's the man.
I saw him bust out his coin flip 3 or 4 times today in the high roller.
He was on probably my most favorite final table I've ever done commentary on at EPT San Remo this year, which will never see the light of day. It will never air again. And he was flipping coins. He had been up for days. He would get up and do roundhouse spin kicks in between hands.
He was doing splits on the chairs today on the bubble of the high roller.
He's so fun to watch. I really hope he can make another final table that a bigger audience will tune in for.
Yeah, the guy busted the bubble of the high roller. He ran in the corner and shadow boxed for about 2 minutes. It was awesome.
Do you remember at the super high roller when he was obviously on the feature table, so he's up on the TV stage, and then they draw for seats at the unofficial final table, the final 9, and he feels that the seat he's been sitting in is his lucky seat. But he's now got to go from like seat 9 round to seat 2, so he literally drags this chair all the way around the TV set because he wants to stay in his lucky seat.
I can understand that. Now, did he win in his lucky seat?
No.
Did he break the chair when it failed him?
No.
Okay.
Random question of the day from Frank. Neil, what do you drive? Are you balling?
Well, I don't have a car in the UK. When I bought my car in the States, which is sitting at my brother's house right now, getting about 5 miles a year put on it, so maybe that'll make it good down the line. I bought in 2004, I bought a 2005 Pontiac Grand
Mazda Protege.
Am. Now, Pontiac Grand Am SE1.
I like the Grand Am. They got some balls.
Yeah, it's 2-door with the moonroof and the everything tricked out, but it was the last year they made the Grand Am. But it is not baller by probably anyone's standard of baller that is listening at this point in time. But it's also like 9 years old with about 32,000 miles on it.
Nice.
So I don't know if that raises the blue book by
You're
any
like
stretch.
an old
but-
lady that only drives to the grocery store and church.
Exactly. I drive it for 2 weeks every Christmas when I go home.
All in from the short stack, Julian Thomas.
There we go. 17.6 big blinds. Just has to get through the blinds, though, right?
Aliev in the big.
Just the
Wouldn't
big
it be
blind.
ironic if... Oh, he folds. I was gonna say, wouldn't it be ironic if at this point Aliev is the one who busts the 9th place guy?
Nothing would surprise me anymore.
We've got just under 53 minutes in this level now. And man, if this goes through the hour and you guys end up watching this at 61:20, it's going to start getting, I mean, it's going to start getting ugly there.
Start.
Well, it's still all right. I mean, the average stack is 30-ish bigs.
Wow, that's really deep. I think I'm right in
I
saying...
sense sarcasm from you. Am I reading that right?
Well, Neil, you know this better than I do. I'm pretty sure we've had a lot of final tables this season finish at the 61-20 blind level.
Yes.
This one won't even start until the 61-20 blind level.
Absolutely.
Okay, a few more runners than we've had at some of the other events, but even so.
Now, Barcelona, they were playing 70 bigs deep at one point, but they were playing because they had Ziggy and Yanni on there. And it was the two Finns who were driving the action the whole way.
They were playing poker.
They might have been clicking buttons, but they drove the action for the final 3 tables like really hardcore. That's why there were lots of us thinking that that table would go a long time because it was so deep. But not thank you to Ilari and Yanni for making sure that didn't happen.
That was a fun final table, too, actually. That final table was excellent.
Did you get one of the hats? Did they give you one of the hats on
I
the way
did
out?
not. We were hiding, and we're an hour behind because we were doing cards up.
Oh, that's right. It was cards up in Barcelona, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
And just like that, the guys at the PokerStars blog send us a link to the article about Litvinov and that bubble today. So if you follow,
I hope they got some good pictures of it. Ninja Neil Stoddard should have been out there snapping away.
if you follow at PokerStars blog on Twitter, you'll find those links to the article about Artem Litvinov.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dacey,
Padun raising this hand.
Howard, and Steven. I'm not sure which one of you guys posted it out there, so.
Action on Aliev.
Neil, have you considered making EPT main event turbos?
We have an EPT main event turbo tomorrow. That's a 300 buy-in for 30K guaranteed.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. Is it too late to change the structure of the main event and make it 15-minute blind levels?
Not if we can get all 9 of them to agree.
I don't think that's going to happen. Here's a 3-bet out of the small blind.
There's Aliev, yeah. What is that, 380, 385?
390.
390.
See, I thought there was that little clause in the terms and conditions that anything can be changed at the tournament director's discretion.
Yeah, but you'd have a really hard time, convincing Thomas to do that, I think. And
like
as we
that-
discussed,
I
you
feel
don't
like
want to
if
put him
that
on the air again.
I feel like if that happened, numbers would go down at the next event.
It's entirely possible. And the next event is Monaco, and we don't really want to discourage people from coming to the grand final.
No, we do not, especially with all those cash games running.
Absolutely. I don't know if you guys have heard, but we have cash games in Monaco this year.
Cash games that we're running with a 3% rake?
3% rake, very low cap.
I don't know how
EPT dealers, and every game imaginable with a few exceptions for your kitchen table stuff.
I don't know how we can afford to stay in business with rake that low.
Guys, I really think you need to focus on the strongest selling point of all. We're going to have Italian, Spanish, and French players coming to those cash games.
Absolutely. We can't stress that enough. What's our sound effect? There we go. No expense spared on the EPT soundboard.
Let's pick up the action here.
C-bet.
Yeah, so Pidun's raise was to 200,000. Aliev 3-bet to 390. Pidun called, and Aliev follows it up with a bet of 345,000. Pidun not going anywhere fast.
But he is going somewhere slow.
Yeah. This is awesome. Artem Litvinov is singing on the Russian stream.
Did any of that go through? Did you guys catch any of that?
I'm going to be honest with you, it was better when Arsene was singing on his own. Ilya joined in and it kind of didn't work. The guy's tone deaf.
Franz writes in with the hashtag Aliev cheering section.
20 big blinds at the bottom, 46 at the top. Only 2 players with more than 30 bigs at this point in time.
Oh, this so reminds me of like the PCA from a year ago. It reminds me of the grand final from season 8.
Yep.
Super, super shallow. But I agree with you, Neil. They have created this for themselves, and I don't think it would be right to roll back the blinds. Okay, it would give them more play tomorrow, but you know what? They should have got on with it earlier.
Well, I don't think it's fair to the people who managed to accumulate chips. The first televised table I ever dealt had that situation on it. And a player with a ton of chips, they ended up rolling the blinds back by like 4 levels. And he ends up, there's no way he loses that tournament, I think. And it was a limit tournament as well, because it was Party Poker Million. I can't imagine a way he loses that tournament if the blinds stay where they were. And instead, he ended up 3-handed against Negreanu and Lindgren, and they pretty much carved him up like a Thanksgiving turkey. That's why it always surprises me when I do see tournaments like that, when they go to the table and say, hey, do we want to roll the blinds back by level? And the chip leader says yes. It's like, well, isn't that the whole point of having your chip lead, is to be able to...
The Hague makes it 200K, flatted by Aliev on the button.
Over to, is he still chip lead? Yeah, over to chip leader. Frost in the big blind.
Chip leader with his mighty 45 big blind stack.
He's been extraordinarily quiet as well on this table. It's probably one of those moments where he's like, "Guy, I thought we were going to be over an hour and a half ago when I had 65 big blinds.
Yeah.
Now I might have to actually do something and get involved."
Jack 9-9, 2 spades.
So Hague checks.
Looks like we're going to get a bet here.
$250 into $640. Neil, you ever asked to rule on things outside of poker, like a lunch dispute or like how long someone's allowed to tank looking at the menu?
I've never been asked, but I have volunteered.
That's good.
You know, you gently tap them on the shoulder and you're like, hey, the rest of us want to eat here.
Hey, you had plenty of time to look at the menu while you were telling me that story before?
It only becomes awkward when they have to roll their window down, because you're like, look, you've been staring at the clown for an hour. The rest of us want to talk.
You should have been looking at the menu while it was everyone else's turn to act.
Exactly. It's the drive-through. If you want to stand there and stare at the menu, you need to go inside like everybody else. I'm tempted to kind of like commentate on what I think they have, but we were so brutally wrong on the last hand. I'm a little nervous now about guessing what these players are putting out.
That's what we're supposed to do. This is
all right,
weird
so
now that...
Yeah, take a stab at how you check the flop, call the flop, and then fire out again on the turn.
I really don't know. Any hand I can think that's calling here. I mean, maybe you're slow playing something huge.
When Hague was second in chips when we started.
That's all I can think is you're slow playing something huge. I figure if something like Queen 10, you're probably betting that flop.
Would he check float it with? I mean, would he float it with 2 overs at that point?
I mean, even like king queen, you should probably still be betting that flop. I guess you can check call ace king there sometimes, but probably not. You're still probably supposed to bet the flop. Johnny Taft says that EPT9 San Remo final table with Artem Litvinov being a funny man, someone has to put it on YouTube for the world to enjoy.
But I thought you said it was lost forever.
I think he's requesting, which I don't have access to it.
So is this the case? Where did you take all the? Oh yeah, there's a call.
It can't have been lost forever. The Italians shot it for an IPT TV show.
Right, but our commentary was maybe lost forever. Well,
oh, that's an interesting card.
Yeah, sure is.
Makes the ace, king, king, queen we were talking about slightly uncomfortable at this point in time.
Yep, if someone did have a straight with queen 10, that's pretty uncomfortable.
You got to try and think what Aliev bet the flop with and then calls the turn with.
We just got word that the high roller is about to play their last hand. You know why? Because it's late.
Well, and because I think they're 7 or 8 or 6-handed or something at this point in time, so.
They're also still not wearing sunglasses.
I've got 2 words for you. Cattle prod.
Nobody progs the Hague. Nobody. Imagine this is a pretty tough spot to bet without a jack. All in and a call. Looks like Yanni Jakamainen and Max Leakoff. Or maybe it's the player in the 1 seat who's already standing. What was that, Griffin Benger?
5, 10, 8, jack 6. Oh, there's nut clubs on
3
the flop.
clubs,
So
yep.
I don't know what got in or how it got in, but obviously Yanni was happy to see the chips go in. Flopping the nuts always makes you feel pretty good.
Hague has bet this river.
$500,000.
$500,000 into 200,000. A quarter of the pot. Sorry, $500,000 into 2 million. Hello. Now, I don't think Aliev would really think about heroing here. He did bet the flop, called the turn. Is he
Kind
just flatting before the flop with a lot of hands with a 9 in them?
But Hague check called the flop, then led the turn and the river, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aliev lets it go. And Hague shows a, what is that, a 5? He shows a 5. He probably didn't think Aliev was capable of heroing either.
Got an email for you, Neil. It's one of those, what would you do in this situation, tournament director type questions.
Ask the tournament director one.
Exactly. Neil, what do you think of this ruling? Happened a while ago in a poker club. There's an early position raise.
Okay.
Player in mid position, then 3 bets, and I 4 bet from the button with aces. The other 2 players then start talking to each other and say, if you call, I call. So they both call, and I go ballistic. I call the floor, saying this is completely unfair. The tournament director elects to just give them a warning, and I end up busting the hand, shoving a 7-high flop, getting called by 7-5 off. He spikes a 7 on the river. What should have been the ruling when he called over the tournament director and said that the 2 players colluded to call?
Essentially, I mean, and I'm sorry to say you still probably would have been eliminated from the tournament. Tournament directors are very, very reluctant at this point in time to kill players' hands. I definitely would have given them an orbit or 2 orbits. I mean, they would have been penalized more than a warning, simply because it's obviously you're looking at somebody's tournament life. It's a fairly egregious situation at that point in time. But I think it's extreme that any TD would kill the hands in that circumstance. I'm not saying there aren't some that would, but it seems like an extreme reaction to kill hands in that regard. It's unfortunate. It's, like I said, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4 orbits, especially because it's, it's now you've colluded, you've cost someone their tournament buy-in. This is 5K, 1K, whatever. I mean, it could be a $100 tournament. Maybe, I mean, $100 to me might be, $1,000 to you.
Yeah, I think the buy-in is somewhat irrelevant.
Yeah. It's a very egregious etiquette violation, and it should be treated as such. But even that being said, I would probably be very reluctant to kill those hands. And I hate to say this, but if you had tripled up on the hand, you probably wouldn't be as upset. I mean, it's a results-oriented kind of thing. I usually, if that ruling comes down and they get 2 orbits and you triple up, you're not nearly as unhappy as you are since you busted the hand. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just a reality to any type of ruling.
36 minutes left on this blinds level. This is going to be awesome if we get to 61-20.
Is Aliyev really, even after all that, is Aliyev really still at 2.3? Did he chip up that much that he could punt off close to $1 million in that?
Apparently so.
Wow. I am impressed.
I think maybe had his chip counts off for a second, too. Maybe.
I don't know. When the camera rotates back, we'll take a look.
Well, I think we fixed it now. That's when Luca came in and checked
Oh,
out.
so we might have been wrong earlier on for that stuff. I saw Luca go in and count his chips.
Yeah. Button raise from Frost. Haven't heard from him in a while. That beard considerably shorter when the final table bubble started.
That's where I figured you were going. Did he have a beard when the final table started?
He might have been clean shaven, honestly. I can't remember back that far.
Well, this looks like a solid re-raise from Padun.
Re-raises to 500,000.
Oh, come on, Frosty. You know you're folding.
Is it reverse psychology there?
It's a win-win for me. I'm either right or we play a big pot.
Well, there's a $1 million chip pot already right off the bump.
It's the latter option. All diamonds. King 10 deuce.
It's okay, flop for Queen Jack.
Padun's going to double check his red cards.
I know I had a red ace. Was there a diamond or a heart? It was a diamond.
Have some of that.
550 looks like. Nice little half pot size.
half pot, but you know, half pot is when everyone's so shallow is a lot.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if Frost calls, he'll, even at this stage, he will, and he's the chip leader, he'll have put like 23, 24% of his chips into the pot.
Martin tweets to say, I'm tired, I'm ill, but I need to see the end of this. You and me both, pal. Queen Bee emails nuts@pokestars.tv. Are headphones allowed by now as there's only one table left? No. Doesn't matter how many tables are left. If you're on the feature table, if you are in a position to potentially listen to the live stream, we cannot allow you headphones.
Like when Neil and I are saying that Padoon definitely has queens or better in that spot, and we nail it, and we just nail the hand ranges. We don't want anyone to be influenced by that bang-on commentary.
We just can't afford to be responsible for influencing the action with,
But
literally,
honestly,
as Joe said.
even though we were wrong, it would still influence the action, maybe, and we can't have that.
Queen Bee says, looking forward to tomorrow. Go, go, the Germans, and thank you for the coverage. We'll tune in again tomorrow for sure.
There is a lot of Germans on the final table, isn't there? Or on the, excuse me, on the nine-handed almost final table.
Well, there will be a lot of Germans at the final table, let's put it that way.
How many do we have in
There
total?
will either be four.
5 out of 9.
There will either be 4 or 5 Germans at the final table.
And what are our other nationalities at the table as it stands?
Well,
There's a Dutch.
Yep, that's Pascal Voss. Roman Koronev is a Russian online qualifier. Dashkin Aliyev is the Russian live qualifier.
Okay.
And then you've got Lasse Frost, who's from Denmark.
Okay. Aliyev's in for a raise of 210. Looks like that's a call from the button there from Voss.
Correct.
And what's another blind for Harold, right?
Roman considering.
By the way, if like Queen Bee, you're looking forward to the final table tomorrow, you haven't got long to wait. Only 12 and a half hours.
I promise, James, you'll have at least a 30-minute break between the conclusion of this and the start of tomorrow's final table.
Thanks, Neil.
I have limited powers, but I will use them in that
You
way.
can hook us up with that.
And we are approaching 30 minutes left in this level, gang. If you loved 50, 100,000, you will just be over the moon for 6120.
Michael says, Kate the dealer makes this painful EPT Live bubble somehow bearable. Stapes and Hardigan.
Looks like we have a re-raise. 525,000. And yes, Kate is lovely, but she also happens to be an incredibly talented dealer, one of the best dealers on the EPT.
Is it my imagination, or is this room getting warmer and warmer?
Not your imagination.
Not your imagination.
It might be, I think, because we are in hell.
This is only like a second circle, though, right? I mean, we're not like really deep down. I mean,
We are constant. We're in the second circle, but still falling.
yeah. I don't think we haven't really seen Aliyev do anything light. He's not. We haven't seen him raise, fold, or any of that stuff. He's been fairly serious when he's gotten chips in the middle, correct?
Yep.
Then he does call there, right? Yeah, he called the re-raise to 525. And they're all pretty dead on even as well. 2.3, 2.3, 2.8. So everybody's fiddling around here in the 25 big blind range.
We love a bit of fiddling.
Do you flat this in position?
I
And I
mean,
know he's counted it out, but
no one's really supposed to be flatting anything with their stacks, I don't think. I mean, I guess in position is the one place you can make an argument for it. But, you know,
it's going to be interesting. Three-way to the flop with 1.7 million in the middle. So both Herald and Aliev have roughly a pot-sized bet behind.
Comes a 5-high board.
that's got to make everyone happy. Well, on the other hand, wait a minute. The hand we saw had Jack 4 in it, and the other big hand we saw between Aliev
showed a
and
5.
Kornev, he showed a 5. So this could have hit all three of them right upside the head.
The problem is that as the blinds go up, they have even less incentive to play fast. Okay, Roman. You were the re-raiser. Action's on you.
Oh, if I had the power to call the clock on players.
I don't even think he's been tanking for 60 seconds on that.
He's at least counting out chips. That's 400,000. Nope, a little more.
475, so 30% pot bet. But it's
which in a in a 3-bet bloated pot, it's gonna.
Yeah,
this is fine.
By the way, you know we had that question earlier on. What was going to happen sooner? The final table bubble would burst, or the free roll would conclude. 27 players left in the EPT9 free roll.
Oh, we're right to the wire. It could be this hand. I mean, I have to assume at this point that neither of these two players can flat this 475. I'm not saying I'd be stunned if they did, but there's really no way to flat it,
They're
is
not
there?
supposed to.
Chris McFadden asks a key question. At this point, does everyone still love a chop pot?
Chris, I got a laugh out of the entire gallery here.
To be fair, Chris, I don't think you can ever not love a chop pot, can you?
There is an exception
Uh-oh.
that proves every rule, and I think it would be at this point of the tournament.
So essentially what you're saying is on the turn we need a 4 so the two aces can chop this.
Hey, Joe. Joe.
What? I'm sorry, what? I must have nodded off there for a second.
Do you understand this guy's question?
Will the free roll finish before us?
No. Twitter.
Who wants to know who our favorite football team is?
Oh, is that what he's asking?
Yeah, he just forgot the W, so instead he said Ho is the favorite football team instead of who.
Does he mean like European football or American football?
He does not. He clearly does not mean American football.
In that case, it's just soccer, isn't it?
Thank you, Neil.
I know they announced football results in the tournament room a couple times this week. Lots of people clapped, a couple people cursed. So it was apparently a big deal.
Dashkin Aliev, I must ask you a question. Why aren't you acting?
See, now this is a case where people would say it's for his tournament life. You shouldn't call a clock. I absolutely think you could call a clock here. He's been in the tank at least 3. Where's our decision timer? See, he's been in the tank at least 3 minutes. This is following a 2-minute tank by Harold. And this is one of those you kind of need a plan kind of thing. It's like, what did he think was going to happen? What was he going to do?
These guys spent more time in the tank than David Blaine.
We'd like to welcome you to the EPT's version of Splash, the new hit ABC show.
Oh, God.
Wow.
That tag fold is the worst.
Sandra says at this speed they're going to blind out before they get to the final table.
That would be awesome. I know it would take a long time, but how cool would that be?
Total runtime on this hand, by the way, so far, 8 minutes, 30 seconds.
You know, I was complaining the other day about the 2 hours of my life I'm not going to get back from watching Battleship. Well, here goes another 8 minutes 30.
Yeah, but it's a well-spent 8:30 if if it turns into a huge pot that adjusts the tournament. Whereas the 2 hours for Battleship ain't never coming back.
Carl says, it's only the sound of your voices that makes me realize I'm not watching in slow motion.
Welcome. Call.
Okay, neither player has a pot-sized bet left behind, and we are only to the turn.
Is this hand still going on?
There's
Oh,
the
it is.
four.
No, no, no.
So now they check it down the rest of the way, and the two aces chop it.
You are going to get the most insincere version of the song.
Can we just change it to no one loves a chop pot?
Yeah, said in a really despondent voice.
Okay, I'm in.
Is this where you cattle prod the dealer? What the hell is that 4 doing on the turn?
By the way, just to address Turgay's question, I can't stand the sport of soccer, so I don't have a team. But Joe is loving the London Arsenals.
Oh, the Arsenals are my favorite soccer squadron team of kickers.
I follow the American sport, and Neil and I are division rivals because he's a Seahawks fan and I'm a Niners fan.
Yep. Oh, there's an all-in. Here we go. I know it could be less exciting because it's going to be ace-king against ace-king. Or ace-king against ace-queen, but...
Yeah, you don't need to count out the call.
Yeah, Voss has him covered, so Harold's the one at risk.
If you call and you're wrong, you'll be left with 500,000. That's 5 big blinds for another 20 minutes.
That's another level. I mean, that's plenty at this table.
Now remember, the last time we saw Harold in this position, he turned over Jack 4 suited. So he could have a full house here.
I mean, I actually kind of like this move if you have a pair and maybe you get looked up by an ace.
That's what I was just going to ask, is like if the other guy's sitting on ace-king, ace-queen.
You think you're getting blown off a chop in this huge pot?
And there's, what is there's 4 million. There's the
Yeah,
laydown.
you're not getting hero called ever at this table. Ever, 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 ever.
Stapes is done.
Yeah, we promised that was not an angrily slammed down microphone. It just slipped. It just slipped. It was an accident.
Steve says these guys better get a move on. Monte Carlo starts on the 6th of May. Rory McDonald says, Moustache Man has now forced me into negative railing. Although Steve,
Is that a new hashtag? Hashtag go broke already?
although Steve Ford says, compared to the final table of the World Series of Poker main event, these guys look like they are in turbo mode.
I have to be fair, I have to kind of agree with that.
Stefan has a question for you, Neil. Who do you think's better, Rogers or Breeze?
Oh, that's a really tough one. To be fair, I think Breeze has had a better supporting cast lately. I don't, for whatever reason, I mean, Jennings was all right, but I don't really think that Green Bay's ever really given Rogers a ton of weapons to play with the way Breeze has been able to play.
They allow weapons in football now? That is a violent sport.
Absolutely. Didn't you see the beginning of The Last Boy Scout?
Actually, I have.
I think
One of the most ludicrous opening scenes ever.
I think I'd probably take Rogers over Breeze.
Here comes Aliev.
Yeah. Oh, right now I'd absolutely take Rogers. But I think Breeze is in. He's just got a better supporting cast from an offense standpoint, statistics, all the rest of that stuff. It's like saying, would you rather have Manning or Brady? Well, one of them does have 4 rings. So, and I pretty much hate New England, but he does have 4 rings. Here he is with the call again.
We've got an email from Dimitri who says, "Dear visitors, come to Monte Carlo. Cash game is only 3% rake. All these players will be waiting for you there."
And what's our sound effect? There we go. According to our friends in the Russian broadcast, the same thing came into them less than 3 minutes
Really,
ago.
from Dimitri? You don't say. 3 ways to this flop.
Somebody sent an email to the French and Belgian guys to see if Dimitri's emailing them as well, please.
Haig, the original razor, called by Padun and Aliev. Padun in position. Haig out of position.
It's one of those things that makes me wonder that Thomas's hand must have been really bad to lay down for an additional 100K with 3 people in behind him.
Yep.
By the way, you know, we were jokingly discussing changing the rules of the EPT so that we have 15-minute blind levels. This is a genuine appeal from Martin, and I'm going to echo this. Can we please change the rules to allow Calvin Anderson to re-enter?
Unfortunately, we have not yet reached the point where we're allowing re-entry to the final table. Although I've heard there are some tournaments looking into it out there, not naming any names. Haig checked. Aliev bet, what is that? Is that 260? Yeah, I'm thinking Padun didn't put out I didn't really hear what Marquetta was saying, but it sounded like Padun didn't put out enough for a raise. Or enough for a real raise. So they made him move up to 520. And it got through really fast. So I guess it didn't matter.
Sure didn't.
500 was enough, but he'd have called 500, but he can't call 520. Is our chip count on there right for Aliev that he's now at 13 bigs again?
We're forced to assume yes.
So he's at 13. Yeah, there we go. 13, 18, 18. And there's only 15 minutes left in this level.
And check out Daniel Guy Padun, by the way, who was in our last player who is in danger of going out when he got it in with the Queen Jack against the Jack 4.
Yep.
Top pair. And now he's up to 45 bigs, second in chips, basically tied for first.
Yeah, and when we move to 61-20, though, he's going to fall from 45 bigs to what, like 30, what is that, 37, 38? This could be a very brutally quick day for you guys tomorrow.
I don't know if there's such a thing as brutally quick, Neil.
Well, I mean, in tandem, it's quick for you guys. It'll be brutal for all the people who want to rail all day and hear the dulcet tones of Hardigan and Stapes.
They can watch a rerun on PokerStars.tv. We've got the entirety of Season 8 up there for them to enjoy.
They can all go to, what is it, 6 minutes, 20 seconds of the episode to find out if it's a string bet or not.
Find out why a string bet wasn't called.
We made 52 TV shows in 2012. That's 52 hours of entertainment.
Well, there's at least there's like
it's
1 or 2 hours of entertainment in there.
And that's just the commercials.
Chris went bust 18th in the free roll. Nice run, Chris.
Good job, Chris.
Dane says, here's an idea. Let's allow the Twitter community to call the clock on the players. Thanks.
No, it'll be just like golf. Isn't that what happened a week ago or 2 weeks ago? Somebody called in a penalty on Tiger Woods. How messed up is that the people watching at home can call in a rules violation? I'm still really confused. I'm not a big golf fan, but every time I hear something like that, I'll see it on PTI or Around the Horn or something through the week. I'm like, really? The people watching at home? Can you imagine doing that in basketball? That was a charge on LeBron. That was a charge by LeBron.
Glenn writes in to say, I'm using my one time for this table. Cooler, please.
That was Ace-King just rolled over by, was that Kornev who took it? Kornev took a walk in the big blind with Ace-King?
Boyan makes a great point here. I don't see why people are complaining. The unorthodox plays with the shallow stacks. This is unprecedented and simply amazing. I agree, Boyan.
And quite frankly, to be very honest, from a marketing standpoint, these final tables make people want to play EPT satellites.
Simon says, this reminds me of the heads up between Mickey Peterson and that Belgian guy at EPT Copenhagen. Good work in the commentary booth. You're to blame for me still being awake. And go Lasse Frost. And we always have, or I should say had, long heads up battles in Copenhagen. And right now this final table bubble is on the verge of rivaling the Jensen-Vance heads up match.
What was I think it was a couple years ago in Barcelona, we had the 9 to 8 go. What was it, like almost 3 levels, I think?
Yeah.
Simon writes in to say, as a big fan of watching live poker and cricket, I'm used to slow action, but this is frustrating. Commentary is hilarious, though. Thank you, Simon.
I do agree with the guy who wrote in, though. It is interesting poker to watch, essentially, because it is, you don't normally see short stack play. And I'm not going to comment as to whether it's good or bad short stack play, but it's interesting to see people that, as you mentioned earlier, Joe, this is a new situation for every player who's here.
I like the fact that there is absolutely zero pressure on us to be able to put these guys on hands, because what they're doing is undefinable.
Yeah. But it's because for most of them, and again, I don't know the history of all the players here, but they've never been in this position before. They don't know how to play a 20 big blind stack on the final table for $1 million.
And it, like I said, it's a slippery slope. Once they start playing like this, and the table all sort of agrees to it implicitly, it just has to continue this way. Not one player is all of a sudden going to be like, hey, I'm just going to start raising every hand and jamming every flop. It's just not going to happen.
Well, and now they've kind of done it to themselves. As we keep talking about the blinds moving,
Yeah.
Nobody can do it now. The chip leader is Padun at, or excuse me, he's 200,000 behind, he's 20,000 behind Haig. But he's sitting on 44 bigs, and in 11 minutes he's going to have 38 bigs. There's no way to table captain at that point.
I have some sad news for Ian, by the way.
Uh-oh.
Ian writes in to say, the best thing about enduring this final table bubble is looking forward to the one hand that gets televised. Classic. Oof, Ian.
This is awkward.
This is some bad news for Ian. Ian, this event's not televised. I'm sorry.
No, you did a good job, Joe. It's like
sorry.
a Band-Aid.
I'm
You
sorry.
got to rip
I
it.
know.
You got to rip it
had
like
to
a
just
Band-Aid.
get it over with and get it out there.
I was talking hypothetically earlier on. I said if this were a televised situation, then only one hand would make the edit, but no.
And this would be the hand. Roman Harold, this is the one. Raising to 200,000, 3-bet by the Hague to 475,000.
Third and first in chips on the table here.
My sudden burst of energy.
Here comes is that a re-raise? No. Re-raise or call?
One of the Russian commentators to think that maybe I'm watching a different poker game. It's the same one.
What you need to do is stand up and go, this is it, and it'll utterly confuse them.
So what it is, we haven't told the Russians that we actually have a whole card feed. And so we have more to commentate on than they do.
We know this is the cooler.
I don't think I've seen one, and I've been here for an hour. They asked me when the last time I saw a 4-bet was here. Have we seen a 4-bet here?
The poker gods actually made me laugh. Sorry, guys. We were catching up on Duck Dynasty episodes. We'll get this table bubbled here in a bit.
That's a 4-bet to 775,000.
And it's kind of spelling out something. I think it's spelling out, please help. I know, we got this new angle all of a sudden. It's 5 days into the tournament. Somebody climbed some scaffolding.
No, see, what they think is they're wondering if Haas is in the corner, like, playing solitaire or Angry Birds or something. So they want to get a shot of his computer up there in the back left.
Like a call, by the way.
Is that a flat call of the 775 4-bet?
We've been taking so many.
No, that's a 5-bet.
Okay. So are we maybe going to have an all-in before the flop?
Oh, somebody shove already. Marquetta, fingers by the triangle. I think we're going to need it.
5-bet to 1.1 million.
Let's put it this way. I hope we're going to need it. That Russian guy scares the hell out of me.
Well, he's like 7 foot what?
This Bond villain kind of lurking behind me.
That was a character you never played in the old GoldenEye Nintendo 64 game. And you couldn't let anybody play Odd Job either, the little one.
Hardigan, now you know how everyone else feels when you stand near them. Lurch.
I'm not that lanky.
I mean, and we've already said that it's a struggle to attempt to analyze what's happening at this table. But if you're Harold, where do we think he is at this point in time? With the raise and the 4-bet?
I mean, I think we're well beyond, like, leveling wars and people, like, clicking it back with weird hands.
There's just not enough chips left to do that, right?
So I'm thinking, like, hands like 9s. I mean, we've seen so few showdowns, too. I think maybe at this point it's like 9s or an ace-queen you're thinking about this long.
Jan says, oh God, it's so painful. Make them draw straws.
Little Rochambeau just to get it over with.
Todake says, I've only got 30 minutes left
Oh,
on my
geez.
battery.
Unreal.
No, 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 no!
Now the Russians are laughing at us because the whole production team, both Stapes and Hardigan, everybody's like, oh God, no, make it stop.
This final table is a prison on planet bullcrap.
Ian says,
So we've moved from the second circle of hell to a prison on the planet bullcrap.
Ian says, I'm thinking of starting a Day 4 live stream survivors group.
You got to tweet
So
that
what's
Scott Severs
step
out
one?
of the high roller.
What if this is 12-step program? What's step 1 supposed to be? Congratulations, Robert Hay. You're up to 54 big blinds for 5 more minutes. Scott Seaver went boom. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I thought they were going to stop. Oh, well, I guess they're continuing to play. Either that or Scott got out of that real quick and ran over and played like the 300 turbo at the end, but I doubt it.
Please pity Turgay, who's only got 30 minutes battery left on his laptop.
Can I pity the guy who keeps asking how far George Osborne went in the tournament?
Did George Osborne play this tournament?
Who is George Osborne?
He's the Chancellor of the Exchequer in the UK.
Oh, who's the guy you said looked like him?
Oh, sorry, there was a guy that like George. I don't know, it was several days ago. I can't remember what happened earlier on today. This has been going on for such an eternity. You can't expect to remember some random player from day 1B.
Some random
Raise,
lookalike.
fold. I told you what happened earlier. Raise, fold.
This is a conspiracy. Frank's right. They all got together during the dinner break and said, let's tilt the commentators.
My butt hurts.
A serious question from TM, and I know we addressed this earlier on, Neil, but I guess TM missed it. Any chance the blind levels will be turned back for the final table, as there won't be any play in tomorrow's final?
Unfortunately, they've done this to themselves, and we pretty much believe very strongly that the tournament plays the way the tournament plays. I mean, it's sad, but it's taken this long.
To quote the poet and philosopher Tom York, you do it to yourself.
Yep.
And that's why it really hurts. You do it to yourself. Just you, and no one else.
And quite frankly, if I agreed to roll the blinds back by 2 levels, I might not make it out of this room alive.
Does that mean someone's calling the karma police? Please?
There's a raise from Padoon. We have 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in this level, and then we're going
I
to go on a 15-minute break.
At this point, I don't want it to end. I really don't. This is amaze balls.
I have to admit, I'm kind of curious what happens when we reach the point where like the chip leader has like 25 bigs.
This is going to be
and
awesome.
We're still 9-handed. We'll still see 3 bets and folds.
I want to know what kind of monsters are being folded. I bet people are folding jacks.
It's quite possible. On the other hand, they're getting all in with Jack 4, so.
Yeah, that was weird.
And they got all in with a 5 and something. I do find it really interesting. I mean, I know we're laughing and joking and giving them a hard time because we can't go home, but this is some of the most obscure short stack play I've ever been able to sit and watch. So I'm not saying I wouldn't be unhappy if it ended.
I just want to see how far it can go.
Welcome to the 300,000, 600,000 blind level.
Exactly. Where our chip leader has 4 big blinds.
Just got enough to raise fold.
Exactly. Welcome to the first hand ever of an EPT main event all-in or fold competition. I think it's going to be very exciting for those of you at home.
Andre asked, why not transmit high roller and come back to this table in 2 years? Because the high roller is over!
We're not sure it's over. Scott Seaver supposedly just busted. It was supposed to be over an hour ago.
We do have an all-in.
And a call.
And a
Boom! All in and a call!
Our graphics guy screwed it up for us, too. It looks like 3 people are all in. Please tell me. Actually, oh, wait. Ace. Are we flipping?
ace queen.
Against queens.
I see a queen.
Better not be ace queen. Oh, it's queens.
Here comes a 5-diamond flop.
Aliev is at risk.
Anybody want to take odds he banks the ace?
A couple of guys on the Russian stream are asking for the ace. I know he's a Russian player, but
I'm going to call this as objectively
I want him to double
as I
up.
can.
This will be the last hand of this level, one way or the other.
I'm going to call this as objectively as I can. I'm not going to call for the ace.
the queen of spades is there. How about a 10 of spades on the turn for a monster sweat?
Big time sweat.
10 of spades on the turn for a monster sweat. Yes. The Russian team agrees with me. 10 of spades on the turn.
There is no side pot, by the way. This is Aliev's tournament life on the line here.
That's close. There's a few more outs.
That is a sweat. Aliev can now hit an ace or a 10.
A 10 for a chop. An ace for the double up.
3 outs for the double, 4 outs for the chop.
The river is a 6.
Hey!
That's it! We've finally done it! We've finally burst the bubble of the final table here in Berlin.
When we come back tomorrow, blinds will be at 61-20 with a 10K ante, which means these stacks are going to be shallow.
So Dashkin Aliev goes out in 9th place.
Well played to Aliev, too. He held on as long as he could.
He wins himself 56,000 euros. Everyone else has now locked up 77K, plus they've locked up seats at the final table, but they are all going to be playing shallow stack poker. As we've said so many times over the last 17 hours, when you let the final bubble go on that long, you're going to end up with big blinds and short stacks at the final. And remember, those are the big blinds, assuming we're talking 50-100. Tomorrow, the blinds are going to be 60-120. So they are going to be shallower than that. The chip leader will not even have 50 big blinds. As it stands, Robert Haig will have a 42 big blind stack. 2 guys with less than 20. It'll be an interesting dynamic, and you've got to figure, Neil Johnson, they're going to have to change the way they play tomorrow.
Well, I mean, you look at it, and I didn't get the feel, I don't know about you guys, I didn't get the feel that these guys were, like, just trying to get to 8th. I get the feeling that many of these guys are just laddering straight up. I mean, I don't think you're going to see a lot of I mean, I could be wrong. We saw Jack 4 against Queen Jack. But the only two, like, dead all-ins that I saw, aside from that one hand, were Ace-King against Queens and Ace-Queen against Queens.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more of the same tomorrow, though.
So here we go. 8 players remain from the 912 who started. We're down to the final table. And here's what they're playing for tomorrow. 77 now locked up. 6 figures for everyone who finishes 7th through 1st, with the winner getting 880,000 euros. So we will be covering every single hand from the final table here on EPT Live from 12 noon Central European time. That's just 12 hours and 4 minutes from now. We hope to be joined by more great guests in the commentary booth, hopefully some members of Team Pro. Want to thank Neil Johnson
Thank you, Neil.
sharing the pain with us. Don't forget to follow those reports from the High Roller on the PokerStars blog. Follow the guys on Twitter as well. Plus, there'll be an end-of-day report on the main event as well. Please keep the feedback coming through, nuts@pokerstars.tv. You can always tweet using the hashtag EPT Live. That's where you get those live updates from the blog, and that is our Facebook page. And remember, tomorrow, more localized streams than ever before, more languages than we've ever had on EPT Live. Obviously, you can listen to Joe and I in English. Alternatively, you can listen in German, Russian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, Romanian, Latam Spanish, Belgian, French and Flemish, Italian and Slovenian. And let's have a look at the commentary teams, shall we? As we go around the world. There's Fernando and Ezekiel in Spain. Razvan and Cosmin in Romania. Sebastian Roberto, the Belgian-French team. Wesley and Bram commentating in Belgian Dutch. Vanda and Zhao, plus some random dude commentating in Portuguese. Fran, Guillermo and Leo Marguerite in Spanish. Michael Kerner and Potty are German commentators.
Potty mouth.
Tom and Julien, I bet they went home hours ago. They're the French commentators. There they are, Mikhail and Ilya, and the massive Russian dude.
Lurch.
Thought he was a Bond villain.
And there is Joe and myself, as we were joined earlier on by Lena Olofsson, the Swedish blogger.
What's Joe doing in that picture?
You don't want to know.
I was trying to smell Lena.
Where was your right hand? That's what I was a little
It
disturbed
was on
by.
the floor so I could balance myself.
Watch every hand of the final table, 12 noon, Central European time, right here on PokerStars.tv. But for now, from Joe Stapleton and me, James Hartigan, it's good night from Berlin.